A lot of Roth conversion conversations start with the same question, simply how much should I convert? But in many cases, that isn't actually the right question because the biggest Roth conversion mistakes don't usually happen when people convert too little. They happen when people convert too much without fully understanding the overall consequences. A conversion that looks smart on paper can sometimes create higher Medicare premiums, more taxable Social Security income, lost tax planning opportunities with other things, and just outright unnecessary taxes today. And often people don't realize it until months or even years later. So in this video, I want to walk through what I call the Roth conversion sweet spot, the point where a conversion may improve long-term flexibility and tax efficiency without creating unnecessary costs along the way. Because Roth conversions don't exist in isolation. They exist as a part of the overall strategy and plan. And that's where many retirees get into trouble, is when they do this in isolation. Hi, I'm Chris Knight with Cornerstone Wealth Planning. And one of the biggest things we help clients navigate is how Roth conversions fit into the broader retirement picture alongside Social Security, Medicare, investment income, retirement withdrawals, and long-term tax planning. Any point during this video you'd like help evaluating your own retirement strategy, I've included a link in the description where you can schedule a complimentary call with our team. Okay, let's start with the first factor that helps determine the Roth conversion sweet spot. Number one, more isn't always better. Now, one of the most common assumptions that I hear is that if Roth conversions are beneficial, shouldn't I just convert as much as possible right away? Well, not necessarily. Because let's look at an example. A couple retires and decides to convert nearly $300,000 from a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA account. So the reasoning could sound logical that future tax rates will go higher, require minimum distributions when those begin in my 70s will become more of an income problem and create more taxes at that point as well. And a larger Roth balance created today gives us more flexibility long term. All true, but here's what often gets missed. That conversion may also increase current taxes, push you into the higher tax brackets, trigger Medicare surcharges called IRMA, and if it's not right now, will be later. And it could cause more of that Social Security income to become taxable, eliminating other planning opportunities. So, in other words, they solved one problem while accidentally creating several others. And this is why the goal is usually not converting the most money. The goal is improving the long-term after-tax outcomes of your total lifetime income taxes. And that's a very different objective. So it brings us to number two, the Social Security connection. Now, one area many retirees overlook is how Roth conversions interact with Social Security. Because once Social Security begins, retirement income planning becomes much more interconnected. A Roth conversion increases taxable income. And depending on the situation, that additional income could cause more Social Security benefits to become taxable as well. Now, this surprises a lot of people because they assume the only tax cost is that conversion itself. But sometimes the conversion creates additional taxable income in other places indirectly. And that's why we don't evaluate conversions in isolation or independently. We look at these Roth conversions and evaluate them alongside everything else in your overall planning aspect, which would include things like Social Security timing, withdrawal strategies, your future income needs, your tax rates today, and projected tax brackets for the future. And because once retirement begins, these decisions start to affect each other very, very quickly and very, very integrated. Brings us to number three. Medicare thresholds matter a lot. So another area that gets overlooked often is Medicare cost. Many retirees don't realize that Medicare premiums are basically income tested. All right, so what that means is a large Roth conversion can sometimes trigger the higher premiums being required for the overall Medicare cost. And now this happens through something called IRMA, IRMAA, which is Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. Now, the important thing to understand here is that Medicare looks back at income 2 years prior. So someone may complete a large Roth conversion today and not feel the impact of the higher Medicare premiums until a couple years from now. And that's one reason Roth conversion planning requires such precision. Sometimes it makes sense to stop a conversion before crossing a certain threshold. Sometimes it makes sense to spread these conversions just over multiple years. And then sometimes the conversion amount itself isn't the most important, valuable variable overall, as the timing is. And now, if you're approaching retirement and trying to figure out questions like this, simply trying to figure out how much should I convert, when should conversions ultimately happen, how do Medicare costs fit into this overall decision, or how do the taxes affect retirement income over time, that's exactly what we help clients evaluate every single day at Cornerstone Wealth Planning. The link in the description allows you to schedule a complimentary call with our team where we'll help you identify potential planning opportunities and to see whether your retirement strategy is working together efficiently over the long term. All right, let's keep going. Number 4, understand what other strategies you are giving up. So every tax strategy exists within a larger system, which means maximizing one strategy over here could reduce the effectiveness of another strategy over here. For example, some retirees have opportunities to realize long-term capital gains at very favorable tax rates, likely even 0% at times. But large Roth conversions will quickly consume that valuable tax space. Now, the same thing can happen with charitable planning strategies, or future withdrawal flexibility, or survivor tax planning. So this is why retirement tax planning isn't about maximizing just one tactic. It's about coordinating multiple strategies all together. That's often where the biggest opportunities exist. Brings us to number 5, understand long-term flexibility. Ultimately, the value of a Roth conversion isn't measured by how much money gets converted. It's measured by the conversion and what it accomplishes in your overall plan. Does it improve your flexibility later on that you're looking for? Does it reduce future tax pressure that could become an issue? Does it help you manage the future required minimum distributions and the corresponding taxes? Does it improve the outcomes for a potential surviving spouse? Does it create more options throughout all of your retirement if it's looked at wholly together? Those are really the questions that matter the most. Because sometimes converting aggressively could make sense, but sometimes converting gradually could make more sense. And sometimes, believe it or not converting at all could be the best decision for now. That answer depends on the broader retirement strategy, not a rule of thumb, not a headline, and certainly not a one-size-fits-all recommendation you find online. So if you're trying to find your own Roth conversion sweet spot, then here are the major factors that typically need to be evaluated together. 1, tax brackets now and later. 2, Social Security timing. 3, understanding those Medicare IRMA thresholds. 4, what impact will your future RMDs have on your overall income and taxes? Number 5, are you missing other opportunities like capital gains, low tax or zero tax positions, your survivor tax planning, and long-term legacy goals? And most importantly, how does this conversion affect your overall retirement strategy and your long-term lifetime income tax bill, not just this year's one tax return? Because once those pieces are evaluated together, the right decision often becomes much clearer. And sometimes the best answer is to convert more. Often it could be to convert less, and sometimes it could be just waiting entirely for another year. But the key is finding that sweet spot. Enough to improve long-term flexibility, not so much that it necessarily costs get into the way of overall the maximization of the Roth conversions. So if you'd like help building a personalized retirement income and tax strategy that coordinates all these moving pieces together, real simple, click the link in the description where you can schedule a complimentary call with our team. And at the end of the day, a Roth conversion isn't really about moving money from one account to another. It's really much more about making a decision that improves the overall retirement strategy. And that usually comes with a lot of coordination and a lot of understanding the full picture and making the most optimal decision in light of everything going on. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.